Greetings, adventurers. Welcome back to the Trillivan Valley. Salmon are happy to see you back. We're about a little over a week since they've returned, and as you can see, looks like we're coming towards the end of the cycle. Well, end of this stage for many of them. As you can see, the dead salmon accumulating in the stream. So before it's all said and done, I want to take some time to learn with you some of the things that salmon need in their habitat. What do they want their habitat to be like? So to answer that, you got to answer a couple questions. The water, when they're laying their eggs, how do they want it to be? They want it to be cold or warm? If they want it to be cold, how does the water stay cold? When they're laying their eggs in the bottom of the stream, what kind of material are they looking for? Do they want it to be sandy and soft, or do they want it to be gravel and pebbles? How do the stream banks want? How should the stream banks look? What kind of materials should be in the stream? How should the stream be flowing? Do we want it being in a straight line, flowing really quickly, or do we want it meandering so it doesn't move too quickly? Those are some of the questions you have to ask yourself as we explore their habitat and find out exactly what they want. So think about those questions, take some minutes and answer them, and then we'll go explore this stream a little bit closer and identify some of the features that a healthy salmon habitat should have in it, and we'll see if we can identify them. All right, so hope you had some time to think about those questions. Here's a little better look at what I mean by we're coming towards the end of the cycle for many of these salmon compared to what we saw a few days ago, and the bustling, crazy activity. Things are slowing down a little. And the dead salmon are building up, part of the continuation of the cycle. So let's start with the first, how do the salmon want the temperature of the water to be for their eggs to survive? They want it to be warm, or do they want it to be cold? That's right, cold. And if the water temperature gets too warm, the eggs cannot survive. So when we think about the water being warm or cold, well, what's going to maybe make it warm? Yeah, if there's a lot of sun shining on it. So let's look up and see how our stream is. It seemed like it'd be pretty well shaded. Of course, there's not a lot of sun right now, but I can assure you that with all these trees lining the stream, it stays pretty shady down here, which keeps the water temperature cool. Then we were asking about, where do the salmon want to lay their eggs, or when they lay their eggs in the stream, what kind of material do they want to lay them in? Do they want a sandy, soft place, or do they want gravelly bottom? as we're looking at right now. And if you said gravelly, you're correct. Why don't they want to lay their eggs in something like sand or silky, soft things? That's right. If they lay them in the sand, they'll get covered up and there's no air for the eggs to be able to breathe, and they will actually suffocate. So they like these gravel bottoms, and you can see them hanging out right in these areas where there's some water flowing but there's gravel on the bottom. And the female will dig a little nest in the rocks, and she'll lay the eggs in the gravel. And then the male will fertilize with his milk, and then they'll cover them up with gravel. And the gravel has enough space between it that there's lots of air, and the eggs can breathe and stay protected in there. So it's a great look at that, and looks like, you know, if we see all along the bottom around here, pretty gravelly, pretty good habitat for salmon to lay their eggs. Alright, so a couple checks. It's so exciting when this happens. Just want to see if we can capture it. This female here has been protecting this little nest, chasing off other salmon that are trying to, just protecting those eggs till she is no longer able to survive. All right, great. And then one of the other things so to keep a lot of silt and soil from accumulating in the stream, where would it come from? It can get washed into the stream from the banks, but if you have your banks with lots of vegetation growing along the edges, all the roots from the banks, from the plants, will hold the soil in place and reduce erosion, wearing away of the banks of the river and putting more sand and silt into the stream. And also it keeps the stream nice and clean. There's too much silt and sand and mud in the stream, it could clog up the gills of the fish, and then it's hard for them to breathe. One more thing that's important, one of the things the habitat needs is logs going across the stream. And here's a great example. This log all the way across the stream, and on the other side, creating a nice little pool. You can see that over there. There's a nice little pool where the water's not moving too much. As we know, they're returning from a journey of thousands of miles, and by the time they've reached the freshwater stream, they've stopped eating, and they put all their energy into reproductive cells and making eggs and making milk and swimming up past all these obstacles. So they're exhausted and on this. So to help them survive on the way, if there's little pools that they can rest in and not get too exhausted, so they can continue their journey upstream. So we see a nice example of the log barriers, which aren't really barriers, they're just bits that add necessary conditions to the stream they live in. As you can see on downstream, there's quite a few logs across the way, and some really nice features. So these are some of the many needs that the salmon have in their habitat.